come to you today very aware that life is sometimes hard. Life is oftentimes difficult. We're faced with situations that we're not sure how we're going to get through. We're experience things that are unexpected, that we don't know that we have the resources to address, and yet there they are, and we have to do it. Sometimes there's challenges that come in medicine, or in our medical life, or challenges that come in our personal life, or challenges that come in our family life, or challenges that come in our professional life, or even sometimes just when you're trying to accomplish a task. And you're right in the middle of it, and suddenly sometimes something happens. You hit a water pipe and things start going, or the hammer hits yourself on the thumb. And if we're going to be honest as human beings, can I just say it? Sometimes we even drop the F-bomb. Which will not be said anywhere in this sermon. Just going to make that clear from the start. But sometimes we even go that far. And why? Because in that moment of frustration, it's like nothing is going to help. It's like the whole world has risen against us, and we feel in that moment that there's nothing we can do. And honestly, if we're going to be honest, we're afraid, just a little bit afraid that we're going to be overwhelmed by the situation. And so today I want to offer you something to do in those moments when you're faced with that situation. And I'm going to ask that you do this, all of us, that we embrace the F-bomb. Which will not be said anywhere in this sermon. Embrace the F-bomb. And this is what I mean. This is what I mean. Because there is something that can truly help you in that moment, and it's not a word uttered out loud. The F-bomb I'm talking about is the faith bomb. It's the faith bomb. You drop the faith bomb in the middle of that situation and watch how it clears out all of the barriers that are before you and opens up a way for your path. The F-bomb, my friends, is the answer. When you are in the middle of a situation and you are addressed with barriers, you drop the F-bomb. When you're in the middle of a moment and you're not sure what to do, it's okay to drop the F-bomb, because the faith bomb makes a profound difference, and it opens a way where there was no way. When I was a child, my dad used to come up and read books to my sister and I as we were falling asleep. This was, like elementary school, maybe, I don't even think into middle school, but when we were really, really young. And I think it's because, my mom was with us most of the day. She was a teacher, so she'd get home at 3 or 4 o'clock and would be with us most of the day. My dad was in the Marines. He was a pilot. And sometimes he came home very, very late at night, so it was his moment, I think, to have a minute with the kids. I think this is why it ended up being his job. And I have the most wonderful memories of my father reading to me when I was young. He read books way beyond our level. He read us Black Beauty and Hans Brinker and the Silver Skates. You can't even find Hans Brinker and the Silver Skates these days unless you look really, really hard. He read us novels. He read us books that were this thick sometimes. But this morning, I'm especially remembering a book he read to us about a little blue engine that had to pull a freight train all the way up a hill. Does anybody know what this book is called? The Little Engine That Could. Yes, the little engine that could. You know the book, right? There is one way that little blue engine gets up the hill. He's got this tiny little engine in this humongous freight train that's got steel on it and coal on it and all these heavy oil tankers. And this blue engine is trying to pull the freight train up the hill. And I'm on page 2. I'm thinking, this is never going to happen. This poor little engine he's been given an impossible task. And yet, step by step, little by little, the engine constantly said the same thing over and over 3 times. What did he say? I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. And what I didn't know as a child was that little blue engine was dropping the F-bomb right in the middle of the children's book. That was the faith bomb that opened the way. It opened the way. I'm looking with just growing anticipation as this little engine is doing it. He's doing it. Oh my gosh, he's doing it. I'm looking at my sister. He's going to do it. He gets all the way to the top of the hill. And the only reason he can do it, because everything is stacked against him, is because the little blue engine had faith. He had faith. In the midst of that situation, he dropped the faith bomb into the moment and realized that if God put him here and got him into it, then God is going to be able to get him out of it. Keep putting one foot in front of the other and trust that there will be a way through. That if there's a problem, God will redeem it. If there's a situation, God will remedy it. If there's an ultimate issue, then God will bless it and raise it into his kingdom. That God will find a way. And that there will be a way. And we simply have to trust. We see over and over in today's readings that power of the F-bomb to open a way. There's Abraham in the middle of nowhere. He's got almost nothing. He's not at home. Abraham's in the middle of the desert. He's traveling from one place to another when all of a sudden guests arrive. Who likes unexpected guests who are hungry? He's I was just going to put up my feet and watch Netflix. And suddenly I've got 3 hungry angels, no less. Angels of the Lord at the front door. What is Abraham going to do? You can bet he was tempted to drop the F-bomb. And he may well have, until suddenly in a moment of realization, he realized, that's exactly what I need. Abraham takes a minute of faith. He's God brought this situation to be. It's got to be for a purpose. Let's press on. Let's lean in. Let's find a way through. He goes to his wife Sarah. He goes to his servant. They find a meal. They give them the meal. And lo and behold, what comes from it is a blessing. Imagine if Abraham had just been sitting there swearing the whole time and then went to the door and said, I'm so sorry, having a difficult day, but Elijah, 4 doors over, has got plenty of food. Would the blessing have gone to Elijah? Who knows? Abraham didn't do that. He trusted and he rolled with it. He leaned into it and he found a way when it looked like no way. The same thing for Sarah. Now listen, I have to sort of interrupt this sermon for just a second and give you a tangential thing about Sarah, which isn't exactly about faith, but I want you to know it. The problem with Sarah today is that she does what? She laughed. Jim was telling me that he heard a sermon once where a pastor was like, sometimes women can be like that. Here's what you need to know that you've never heard before. This is Genesis 18. Guess what happens in Genesis 17:17? God, not angels, but God comes to Abraham. And God says to Abraham, I am going to use you and your wife Sarah, and I'm going to give you a baby. And guess what Abraham did? Laugh. Not only did he laugh, and Scripture says he fell on his face laughing. Fell down on his face laughing. Genesis 17:17. Check it out. So, you know what? We just have to put both of those stories side by side. We have to recognize they both laughed. But what did they do after they laughed? Both of them leaned in. Sarah was like, all right, the Lord said, I'm 90, I'm going to have a baby. You know what? I'm going to start getting ready for a baby. I'm going to start trusting there's going to be a baby. And guess what? There was a baby. Sarah dropped that faith bomb into the middle of that situation and said, instead of resisting, instead of being afraid, instead of acknowledging all the barriers and how crazy high they are, instead I'm going to blast them all down with my faith, and I'm going to walk through the path that my faith opens up before me. You see it also with the apostles today. Here's these apostles that have been following Jesus who raises the dead, who cures the sick, who casts out demons, who cleanses the lepers. It's all cool when Jesus is doing it, right? And then Jesus is like, and now, my friends, you do it. You raise the dead. You cast out demons. You cleanse the lepers, you do the other thing. Cure the sick. 4 is hard to remember. You cure the sick. And you can bet all, and he's like, and I'm sending you out into the towns ahead of you. And you can bet the apostles were like, they may have dropped the F-bomb even. We're going to do what? And then you know what they did? And this is why I'm telling you this, because in the moments that you do that, in the moments that you say that, those are the moments you need the real F-bomb. I'm saying it so you remember. In the moment when it comes out of your lips, you're going to remember the sermon and you're going to say, wait a minute, there's a different F-bomb that's actually useful here. This is what the apostles did. After being overwhelmed by the task in front of them, you know what they did? They trusted, they believed, they dropped the faith bomb to open up the way, and they said, let's go. No, leave the staff behind. Leave the brass and the copper behind. Come on, let's go. Get your shoes ready to dust off the sand, because we're going to do what he said. We're going to have faith that what he said is true, and that if he gave us this path, then there will be a way through. And lo and behold, there it was. My friends, you can learn a lesson from the little blue engine. You can learn a lesson from Abraham and Sarah. You can learn a lesson from the apostles. You can learn a lesson from your impulse in those moments. When you want to drop the F-bomb, drop the real F-bomb and find out what faith can do for you.